everyone, Old School Pokemon here. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about the WhatNot app, specifically about selling on WhatNot, and kind of give you guys my experiences thus far as a seller on WhatNot. Before we hop into the whole selling aspect of WhatNot, real quick overview for those of you who have no idea on what I am talking about right now. WhatNot is basically just another app that you can download onto your phone. It's another platform available for buying and selling collectibles, whether it be Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, sports cards. They do Funko Pops, coins and currency, vintage clothing, so on and so forth. They offer a whole wide variety of different categories for buying and selling different types of collectibles, and they are expanding into other categories as well. Within the app itself, there are two main buying formats available. WhatNot does offer a whole buy it now type format. Frankly, really don't understand this format. I can't see the benefit of listing a buy it now type item through the WhatNot platform. I've never bought or sold something via this buy it now type format. So really won't be talking too much about that. The main draw that I believe the main draw with WhatNot is the whole rapid fire live stream auction events. This is kind of what sets them apart from other buying and selling apps and what makes WhatNot unique to all of these other apps out there. If you're not familiar with WhatNot and you are familiar with the Facebook live auctions that used to happen a lot in some of the Pokemon Facebook groups, it's similar to that, only WhatNot does it on a much more professional level. It's much more well run through the WhatNot app, and it's a lot easier for both buyers and sellers compared to some of the the Facebook auctions. So that's a real quick overview on what the WhatNot app is all about. If you guys haven't already checked it out in the past, would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, whether you're buying or selling. And if you do decide to download it, be sure to give me a follow on WhatNot, Old School Pokemon. Maybe catch one of my live streams that I do as a seller. So getting into the whole selling aspect of WhatNot. One of the main issues that I've found since I began talking about WhatNot is I never knew that this was an issue beforehand. However, there's a lot of people who apply to be a seller on WhatNot, and their application just kind of disappears. They never hear anything back from WhatNot themselves. So their application really never gets approved, and they're having to wait a long time for that application to get approved. Really don't know why that's going on. I'm thinking that it's probably just because WhatNot is still a fairly new platform. I forget when they officially launched the app itself, but it's still a fairly new platform. They're still trying to work out some of the bugs and glitches. The app itself, I would say, is like 99% complete. Overall, it's a really good app, really user-friendly, easy to use. However, there are still a few minor issues that need to be worked out, and I think that's what they're trying to do before they begin rapidly expanding. They're really focusing on trying to build their foundation before they can begin rapidly expanding and just kind of auto accepting all of these new sellers onto the app. So just know, if you are trying to become a seller on WhatNot, WhatNot is slowly adding new sellers onto the platform. It's just going to take time for them to review your application, approve it, and set you up as a seller on the platform itself. So just be patient with them. Hopefully your application will be approved sooner rather than later. I definitely know it is frustrating having to wait as long as some people have told me they've been waiting. But if you are interested in selling on WhatNot, I would highly recommend it. It's an awesome platform, both buying and selling. It's an absolute blast. So if you are interested, definitely check it out, and hopefully going forward they'll be able to approve applications a little bit quicker. But yeah, so getting into the whole selling aspect of WhatNot. The fees involved with selling on WhatNot. So WhatNot takes an 8% fee. So whatever your item sells for, WhatNot takes 8% of that sale price. They also charge a 2.9% plus 30 cent per transaction payment processing fee. So that goes to whatever company they use to process their payments, similar to like PayPal goods and services. So in total, you're paying 10.9% plus 30 cents per transaction, 8 of which percent is going to WhatNot. The other 2.9% is going to this payment processing company. So it's roughly similar to how much you would pay on eBay, like eBay final value fees, eBay payment fees. Little bit less than what you pay on eBay, but overall it's basically the same, which for me, that's fine. I don't think that's too bad. I think their fees are, I think that's justifiable. That's what I'm trying to get at there. So there's the fees. One of the other really nice things about selling on WhatNot versus selling on eBay is that, similar to eBay, WhatNot handles all of the sales tax on the seller's behalf. So when a seller sells something on WhatNot, obviously the buyer pays the actual item price, whatever the auction sold for. In addition to that, depending upon what state the buyer lives in, WhatNot will charge that buyer that state's sales tax. So if the buyer lives in a state that has sales tax, the buyer is going to be charged sales tax. The sales tax goes directly to WhatNot, so WhatNot disperses all that sales tax versus the seller having to deal with all of that stuff, which that's similar to eBay, but that is a really nice thing for sellers. It's having to disperse sales tax across multiple different states as a seller is an absolute pain. So not having to deal with that is really nice. The other thing, though, unlike eBay, in my personal opinion, so on eBay, I offer free shipping for everything that I sell. So basically, when something sells, I eat the cost of shipping, and basically that gets deducted from my total profit. WhatNot operates a little bit differently, where they actually charge the buyer shipping, which is really nice as a seller. So when a buyer purchases an item, they're being charged that final ending price of the auction, plus the sales tax, depending upon where they live. And in addition to that, they're also paying for single cards. For the first auction, it's $3.50. Every auction thereafter within that same live stream is $1. So if they win 2 cards, they're paying $4.50 shipping, $3.50 plus $1. So there is combined shipping, but similar to the sales tax money, all of the shipping money goes directly to WhatNot. And on kind of the back end of the seller's behalf, when I go to package and mail all of my orders, all I'm doing is I package all the orders, I weigh the package out, I enter the weight, I enter the dimensions of the package, and I click print label, and WhatNot automatically gives me a label to print out and put on the package to mail out to the buyer. So as a seller on WhatNot, I'm not having to pay for any of the shipping costs, which is really nice. At least for me, coming from eBay, where I'm offering free shipping, that whole aspect of having the buyer pay for shipping is really nice. I really do enjoy that aspect, and everything is mailed via first class mail or priority mail, depending upon the weight. So don't have to worry about any PWE orders, which is also really nice for if you're selling lower end cards. Everything is mailed out via like I said, first class or priority mail with tracking. So you really don't have to worry about any issues whatsoever, which is really nice compared to selling on eBay. Now, kind of getting into some of my experiences with selling on WhatNot. So I made up a list of pros and cons. So we're going to start with all the pros, then we'll get into the cons afterwards. The biggest pro, or one of the biggest pros that I have with selling on WhatNot, is the whole live shopping experience. Where as a seller, you kind of host a live stream. Buyers can join your live stream, and they're watching you, listening to you. You can chat in the chat, so on and so forth. But that whole aspect is really nice, because when it comes to showing different cards that you're going to be selling off and talking about the condition of the cards, it's a lot easier to do that over a live stream type event versus having to take pictures of that individual card, making sure that your lighting is good, taking front and back pictures, showing any damage. Makes it a lot easier when you're just kind of in front of the camera showing a card. You can kind of like wave the card against the lighting so that people can see any hollow scratches. You can kind of zoom in on the card to show any whiteness along the edges. It makes the whole process a whole lot easier, and it makes it so that as a seller or as a buyer, you can kind of trust the seller more, because you can see all the damage yourself for the most part, as long as the seller does a good job of showing the card. You can see, okay, if the seller calls it near mint, you can actually get a good idea on what the condition looks like versus just having to look at pictures like on eBay or another app like that. So yeah, that's a really nice concept. I do really like it. It also takes a lot less time than having to take pictures and all of that. So that's one of the biggest pros that I had. Plus, with the whole live shopping experience, you as a buyer or a seller, you get to talk with everyone that's also watching the stream. So buyers can chat in the actual chat, and then sellers can actually talk to everyone within the chat. So it's actually a lot of fun. As a seller, you're really just kind of hanging out, watching your auctions, talking about the next auction, so on and so forth. So as a seller, there's really not much going on, but you can kind of talk with everyone in the chat, and it makes time go by really quickly. Being able to talk with everyone in the chat and have something to do while you're kind of just sitting there watching your auctions. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the whole concept of this rapid fire auctions. That's another really good concept. I do really like that whole setup they have going on. Basically, you can, as a seller, you have different options for running your auctions. Typically, though, the most popular formats are either 1-minute auctions or 30-second auctions. Basically, how that works is you put 1 minute or 30 seconds on the clock. The timer starts counting down once the auction begins. Once the auction reaches that 10-second mark and starts to go below 10 seconds, if someone bids on that specific auction, the timer adds 10 seconds onto itself. So there's really no snipe bidding. Every time the timer goes below 10 seconds and someone else places a bid, the 10 seconds gets added onto the timer. So it's unlike eBay, where once the timer reaches 0, that's the end of the auction. Whoever had the highest bid wins. I do like running those types of auctions. I usually go with the 30-second auctions just because you're able to churn through a lot more inventory versus the 1-minute auctions. And even with the 30-second auctions, they're not actually 30 seconds long because you do have that increasing timer every time someone bids in that final 10 seconds. So I usually like to go with the 30-second auctions. Occasionally I'll do 1-minute auctions if it's like a higher end card or something like that. But usually, for the most part, I'm doing like low to mid range cards, and I'll always select the 30-second option just so I can churn through that inventory, sell more cards throughout my live stream. Now, along that same timing aspect, 1 minute and 30 second, like I said, probably the most popular. They do also offer a sudden death auction, which again, you can set for whatever time increment you want. 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever you prefer. And with the sudden death, it's similar to an eBay auction where once that timer runs out, that's the end of the auction. Whoever had the highest bid wins. I've never tried these sudden death auctions myself. I probably never will, but I can see this being a good strategy for sellers, again, just to churn through as much inventory as possible during your live stream. Maybe on like really low end, like commons and uncommons. If I ever do auctions for those, maybe I'll try that. But for right now, I usually stick with that 1 minute or 30-second auction. So with getting back to the point that I wanted to bring up here with the rapid fire auctions, the auction's 1 minute or 30 seconds long, so you're able to churn through a lot of cards within each live stream. Specifically, I usually go live once every other week, either Friday or Saturday night, and I usually try and start around 6:30 or 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll run until between midnight and 2 a.m. just depending upon how tired I get or how many people are actually still watching my live stream when it gets to be late at night there. But just to give you guys an idea on these kind of rapid fire auctions, just to give you an idea on how much I've sold through. So we'll call each live stream 6 to 8 hours, roughly. And in total, I've done 4 live streams thus far. My first live stream, I sold 88 items for a total of $5,644. My second live stream, I sold 89 items for a total of $3,875. My third live stream, I sold 145 items for a total of $2,776. And my fourth live stream, I sold 130 items for a total of $2,476. So you're looking at, on average, you're looking at between 90 and 150 items per live stream. And then for a dollar amount, you're looking at 2,500 to 5,500. That's obviously going to vary just depending upon what you're actually selling during each live stream. So my first 2 live streams, I kind of wanted to generate a lot of buzz and a lot of interest. So I did a lot of high-end cards, a lot of first edition WotC Hollows. I did a couple of gold stars during my first auction, but I did a lot more higher end cards. So that's why my total sales were so much higher than my other 3 live streams. And I did that on purpose. I wanted to kind of generate that buzz, generate that excitement, so that way people would be more inclined to follow me on WhatNot. So that way I can kind of build my follower account, because my first live stream I had like 2 followers on WhatNot. So I want to kind of build that following. That's why I had a really, really good auction, my first one. And then kind of going forward since then, my second, my third, my fourth, I'm more so focusing on like I said, that low to mid end price range between $10 and $50 per auction. That's kind of the ideal price range that I want to focus on, and kind of what I think most buyers on WhatNot are focused on. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, so obviously it depends upon what you're selling in terms of the total dollar amount sold per live stream. But those are my numbers, just to give you guys an idea. Absolutely incredible how much inventory you can churn through with each of the live streams that you do. That's another huge perk if you have a lot of inventory that you want to kind of sell off. So yeah, there's that point. Next up, we have the heat of the moment type bidding that happens with WhatNot. And what I mean by that is, because the auctions are rapid fire, where you only have between 30 seconds and 1 minute to decide whether or not you want to bid on that auction, you really don't have time to kind of go onto eBay and look up what that card is actually worth. So on the buyer's side, that's kind of a negative aspect, but on the seller's side, that can actually be really, really beneficial. So I've had multiple auctions where I've sold some card that I also have listed on eBay, and I sell the card via WhatNot for a lot more than what I can sell that card for on eBay via my Buy It Now listing. I have 2 examples that I remember. 2 of them are like my most memorable examples. I sold an unlimited base set starter trio, so Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, plus the Pikachu. Again, unlimited base set. All 4 cards were near mint condition. I actually sell all 4 of those cards individually within my eBay store for $4.99 a piece. So in total, you're looking at right around $20 for all 4 of those cards on eBay. I sold that one set on WhatNot for $60 or more. I can't remember exactly what I sold it for. I think it was around $65, but it was definitely above 60. I do remember that it was above 60, which is absolutely incredible when you think about it. Selling those same 4 cards on eBay for $20, someone paid $60 on WhatNot for those 4 cards. Absolutely incredible sale. Really, really happy about that. And then also, I've sold multiple of my Jungle Set uncommon square cut cards. Again, I have those cards listed on eBay for $7.99 a piece, Buy It Now pricing. I've sold multiple of those cards on the WhatNot app for $25 or more a piece. Again, really, really nice coming from the seller's behalf. As a buyer, probably not so nice. But yeah, so few sales that went really, really high, way above eBay pricing. I will talk about the opposite end of the spectrum, though, when we get into the cons of selling on WhatNot. So not all sales are going to be that spectacular. So just keep that in mind for now. The final kind of pro that I have for selling on WhatNot is actually a really, really big one. Huge factor for sellers. And that's the fact that before a buyer can bid on an auction through the WhatNot app, they have to set up a credit card. So you have to have a credit card on file before you can bid on an auction through the WhatNot app, it's really, really nice from the seller's behalf, because once that buyer wins an auction, their credit card is immediately charged. So there's none of this whole non-paying buyer type of situation. There's no backing out of a sale once you actually win that item. The second the auction ends, I get a notification on my screen saying the payment was being processed or is approved or something like that. So the buyer's credit card is being charged immediately, which is really, really nice. Coming from doing eBay auctions, one of the biggest problems with eBay auctions is the whole non-paying buyer concept, where people will bid up an auction with no intention of paying for it. So it's really, really nice not to have this issue with through WhatNot. Obviously, if there's an error, like I've had before, where someone meant to bid like $35 on an auction and they accidentally bid $350 on the auction. Something like that, buyers can request to kind of cancel the transaction, and the seller has to approve that cancellation. So it can't just be like for a random reason saying I think I overpaid for this card or whatever. But if there's a legitimate reason, like in that case where the buyer bid $350 versus $35, yeah, you can obviously cancel those types of transactions, and I had no issue canceling that one because I knew it was an obvious mistake. But yeah, for the most part, there's no such thing as canceling transactions. Don't have to worry about non-paying buyers or anything like that, which is really, really nice. Now, those were all the pros that I had for selling on WhatNot. A few of the cons that I have for selling on WhatNot. This first section has to do more so because of the fact that WhatNot is still a new platform, and I think they're still trying to work out some of the like the minor bugs and glitches that are still in the app. So hopefully, going forward, these issues that I'm going to be talking about here won't be issues going forward in the future. But for right now, I've ran into this issue a couple times. It's not super often, but every once in a while, I'll run into these two issues. The first one is excessive lag when starting an auction and then when running the auction as well. So what I mean by that is usually when I start an auction, it's basically just 3 taps on my phone. I can start the next auction within a matter of seconds. However, there's been 1 or 2 occasions where my live stream is super laggy to the point where it takes me a minute or 2 to get that first auction or that next auction loaded. And then even after I load the next auction, the timer is like all over the place for me, where it'll start out, say 30 seconds. The auction starts off at 30 seconds. It'll just be frozen there for a couple seconds, and it'll jump down to 15 seconds. And then you'll see a couple bids come in, and it'll jump down to like 5 seconds, and it'll jump back up to 15 seconds, whatever. And it's just like a very sporadic timer, which it's not really the end of the world there, but that whole like lag in between starting different auctions is super, super frustrating when you have a lot of cards that you want to get through in that specific live stream. So it can be really, really frustrating, and it kind of hopefully they'll be able to work on that, where that's not an issue going forward. I think it's usually just because of how many people might be on WhatNot at that specific time. But yeah, hopefully they'll be able to work on that, where that won't be an issue going forward. The other issue that I've had, which again, this has only happened to me once or twice before. I think it's similar to like a bug or a glitch in the system that'll hopefully be worked out. But the other issue is the timer. When you get to that final 10 seconds, someone bids, it's supposed to add another 10 seconds. I've had a few auctions where the timer doesn't add 10 seconds onto it. It just keeps counting down to 0. It's not because I had it in sudden death or anything like that. I had it set up just like I had all my other auctions set up. But for whatever reason, the timer didn't want to add another 10 seconds onto it. So timer would just count down from 10 when add 10 seconds, which might not seem like a huge deal, but it probably does result in a lower sale price than what you could have expected. So you're probably losing a little bit of money when something like that does happen. And then the final thing within this category is, this only happened to me once, but I hope it never happens again, especially if I ever do something higher end. But I had one auction where I was auctioning a Shadowless base set Alakazam. It was heavily played, damaged condition, so it was really beat up. But I started the auction off, put 30 seconds on the clock, started the auction off at $1, and I had one person bid on the auction. The card ended up selling for $1. The WhatNot recognized it as a confirmed sale, so they charged the buyer's credit card. Buyer paid for it. And in that case, as a seller, you really have to honor that sale. So I did ship that card out, but the card ended up going for $1. The buyer got that card for $1. I did end up shipping it out to the buyer. He was ecstatic about that. But basically, what happened was, WhatNot allowed that one person to bid on the auction, but they wouldn't let anyone else bid on the auction, which really don't know why that would happen, but that's what happened. People in the chat were saying that they weren't able to bid. There was really nothing that I could do at that point, so I just had to let the auction go. That one guy won it for $1. Hopefully that never happens again. Like I said, it's only been an issue for me once. But again, I think that's one of the minor bugs or glitches that they still have to work out within the app itself. The final con that I have for selling on WhatNot is on the opposite of those really, really high price points. Obviously, you have stuff that goes really, really high. You have some stuff that goes right around market value. You also have some stuff that goes really, really cheap. Even outside of those cases where something goes wrong with the app and you basically give a card away. But some stuff does go really, really cheap, and that is due to your kind of limited buyer pool. So within the WhatNot app itself, the seller goes live with a live stream, and people are watching that live stream. But while you're live as one seller, there's also multiple other sellers that are doing live streams. Same thing, auctioning cards off, doing box breaks, stuff like that. So as a new seller on WhatNot, when you really don't have that big of a following, you're going to have a small audience. I usually average between 20 and 30 viewers per live stream. I've had up to 60 or 70 viewers on one of my live streams, which was really nice. And then I've had as few as 10 viewers, like late at night towards the end of my live stream. But usually I average between 20 and 30 viewers. But obviously it all just depends upon timing. Like if I'm doing a live stream at the same time someone else who's a lot more popular is doing a live stream, or if I'm doing a live stream at the same time someone's breaking a Wizard of the Coast booster box, my viewership is going to decline just because I really don't have that following on WhatNot just yet. And because obviously booster box breaks are probably a bit more exciting than single card auctions. So it really just depends upon timing and viewership in terms of what you're going to get for the cards that you sell during your live stream. Unlike eBay, where you set up an auction and you have anywhere from 3 to 10 days for people to view your auction, put the auction on their watch list, bid on your auction, so on and so forth. With the WhatNot app, you really only have that small window, 1 minute or 30 seconds, depending upon how long you set the auction up for. So the auction's really only going to be seen by the people who are viewing your live stream at that specific time. Your pricing is really going to depend upon how many viewers you have and how many of those viewers want the actual card that you're selling. So the pricing can vary quite widely on WhatNot. Obviously, so you have those really, really high sales, those really low sales. You also have a bunch in between. Overall, I would say that you're getting a little bit less than what you can get on eBay for these same type of cards. But again, you're getting a little bit less, but you're also selling through a lot more inventory as well. So I'd kind of rather make a little bit less money and be able to sell through a lot more inventory than get that eBay pricing and have slower sales. So that's kind of my thoughts on WhatNot. I know this video has gone on really, really long, so I'm going to end it here. If you guys have stuck around for this long, thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it entertaining or useful. Really do appreciate the support. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.